So I apologise if this video comes out super long and waffly. I've got some kind of horrible virus lurgy at the moment and it's kind of making my brain a bit... So I don't know, this is probably going to be quite a long video. I did think about splitting it up into separate bits, but I felt like it was probably easier to just dump it all together really on various advice on kind of goth clothing on a budget and the DIY stuff that you can do really easily and cheaply, because I'm not like a DIY clothing genius at all. I'm not very good at sewing. I don't really attempt anything ambitious, but there's a lot of things that you can do that are like really easy, so I thought I would share some of them because I've seen lots of comments on here recently, largely from kind of younger like teenage goths, about the sort of the shitty treatment they've had from other goths in the area because they don't dress goth enough, or they can't be a proper goth because they don't dress goth all the time, which is a subject that at some point I want to make a whole video on, because for so many reasons this kind of pisses me off and there's a lot of things that I want to say about it. But purely on the clothing front, I think it's kind of really ridiculous to mock particularly young teenagers about not dressing goth enough, because the fact is that goth clothes are more expensive than mainstream ones usually. Like if you go to a cheap mainstream store with about 40 quid, you're going to get loads of stuff, but you take the same 40 quid to a goth store and you're going to come out with like one item, if that. So for most people it takes quite a lot of years before you can build up a really decent wardrobe. And then obviously you've got the fact that a lot of teenagers, their parents aren't going to approve of them dressing goth and aren't going to be willing to hand over money for goth clothes. It's like, you can have clothing money, but only if you buy something that's pink and fluffy, and it's like, so I thought this video might be helpful. If there's things that you can make yourself cheaply, I think that's probably going to like skirt the parental issue a little bit, that, you know, if they don't have to pay for stuff they disapprove of, maybe they'll be a little bit cooler about the whole thing. So yeah, there was lots of stuff I wanted to talk about. So I guess the first thing to start with, many people, their basic advice on finding goth clothing cheaply is, oh, go to the thrift stores, you can find amazing things at the thrift stores for really cheap. And the thing is, this isn't exactly true, depending on where you live. If you live in the middle of a kind of thriving city, then yeah, you probably will find loads of cool stuff at the thrift stores, because there's going to be loads of young, interesting, alternative people giving their clothes away. But if you live kind of where I do, in a little sort of villagey towny bit where most people are kind of old, the stuff you find in thrift stores is generally huge and flowery and just no good really at all. So I would say definitely check your thrift stores, but if you find, like I do, that there's never anything you could do anything with there, probably better advice is to just try like cheap mainstream stores. So kind of in this country, Primark and Peacocks and stuff like that. In America, I don't know, you tell me, Target, Walmart, stuff like that. I don't know, I've no idea, I'm guessing. But I try to go to Primark about every 2 or 3 months so that I can like see every collection, because you can often find kind of basic staples that are really cheap that you can do stuff with. You know, just like black jeans that you can shred and make holes in, and black t-shirts that you can do stuff with. And actually you will find that goth does become trendy. About every few years you will find that goth suddenly becomes trendy in all the mainstream stores, and that's fucking awesome, because then you can get like studded fake leather jackets for about £20. It's amazing. So yeah, keep an eye on mainstream fashion so that when goth comes around next you can seize everything. And the other thing, when you go looking in kind of mainstream stores and thrift stores, you don't necessarily need to worry about the colour of the item. Like if you see a kind of lacy fishnetty cardigan, but it's white or pale pink, you can dye it. There's like fabric dye you can buy, and you can dye loads of clothes in one go. You put it in the washing machine, I think, and you toss the fabric dye in there. I don't know, I get my mum to do it, so I don't know how it works. But you put it in the washing machine basically, and everything comes out black. And most kind of light coloured fabrics will take darker dyes, so go colourblind when you look in cheap stores. If you see stuff that's pale in colour but looks nice, buy it and dye it. So the first little kind of DIY project for altering t-shirts or just putting designs on anything you want really is something that I refer to as the Manic Street Preachers t-shirt, because it's something I used to do a lot as a teenager. kind of inspired by the Manics and how they used to make their t-shirts, like when they were still cool and interesting in the early days. And all you really need is a can of spray paint and a t-shirt that you don't mind potentially ruining, and some little kind of straight household pins, kind of dressmaker's pins, just straight ones with a little silver bump on the end. And I'd say for the colour of the spray paint, if you're going to use a kind of light coloured base t-shirt like red or pink or something, so long as you use a darker colour, it's not really going to matter. But if you want to do it on black, silver is probably your best bet, silver or gold, because the metallic shows up really well over black, whereas most kind of matte colours won't. And for this, I did 2 t-shirts yesterday. They were both just boring black t-shirts, and the first one I kind of ripped up the neckline and made some slashes in the belly to kind of show off my belly button and make it a bit more interesting, and then I did a great big messy ank on the back. And the second one I did is the t-shirt I'm wearing today, which I put a kind of Lost Souls design on with a couple of little bats. So you can do anything you want. These 2 that I made yesterday are a little bit kind of sloppy and quick because I was just ill and impatient and I hadn't done it in years. But if you take a bit more time over it, it can come out really kind of pristine and neat. But yeah, something like the Ankh one is going to be the easiest to start with. Some kind of big simple design is a lot quicker and a lot less fiddly than doing lots of little letters and stuff. So if you just did like an Ankh and maybe like a couple of bats around it, that would be really, really easy. So to start with, you want to take your t-shirt and kind of lay it down and work out the size you want your design to be. I found that for my size of t-shirt, a whole sheet of A4 is about right for what I wanted. So once you've worked out kind of the outer size of your design, just start sketching out whatever you want. You don't have to do the letters backwards or anything because no reversal happens in this process. So just sketch out whatever you want, exactly how it's going to be on the t-shirt, and go over it in pen if you've been a bit messy. And then to cut out the outline, you can use scissors, but the easiest thing really is to get a craft knife and a kind of chopping board and cut it all out with a little knife. That's going to be a lot quicker for kind of fiddly designs than scissors. And then once you've done that, you want to get your t-shirt and ideally put a big piece of cardboard in it, something like a cereal box flattened is about kind of the perfect size, and that just keeps the paint from going through the material if you've got a thin t-shirt. And it also makes the whole thing kind of rigid so that nothing falls off while you're doing stuff to it. So stick your cardboard up your t-shirt and then place the letters or whatever on exactly how you want them, and that's when you want to start pinning them down. And this is the only bit of the whole process that's really, really tedious. If you want the letters to come out really, really crisp and clear, you want to use loads of pins. You want to pin down every little corner of the design. But as I say, I was really impatient. I couldn't really be bothered, so I'd used the bare minimum pins that I could. And once your design is pinned down, you want to take it very carefully on the cardboard into the garden, ideally. You do not want to do the spray painting in the house because it's very, very fumey and toxic and horrible. Plus the fact that it tends to go a bit outside of the t-shirt, and if you do it in the house, your parents will shit, or you will shit if you've got your own house, because you don't want silver spray paint everywhere. So take it outside into the garden, lay it down on the grass, and then with your spray can, you ideally, you know, if you're not a graffiti artist and you don't already know how to use a spray can, because I don't spray paint things generally, take a bit of scrap paper and just practice with the spray can. If the paint is kind of running and dribbling, then you're far too close and you're doing it too heavily, because if you do that on your t-shirt, the paint will kind of crawl around the letters and it will fuck everything up, basically. So you wanna be coming at the design from a fair distance. So once you've kind of got comfortable with the spray can, lay down your design on the grass and spray over it. And yeah, you want to be coming from a distance and just misting it lightly and kind of go over it a few times lightly until it's kind of opaque enough. And then as soon as you've done that, ideally put on some kind of plastic gloves so you don't get horrible paint all over yourself, and very carefully take the letters with their little pins in off, but you don't want to move the whole t-shirt at that point. You don't want the paint to kind of touch anything while it's still wet. So just take off your letters, and once you've done that, you can see your design and it's basically done at that point. That's it, really. That's all you need to do. So just move your design very carefully somewhere where it's not going to be disturbed and just leave it to dry for, I'd say, about an hour and a half. And then it's done, and then you can wear it, really, and that's it. And spray paint doesn't come out in the wash, so it's going to be good for years and years and years. So that's it. It's really simple. So that was the first thing I wanted to share. And yeah, If you've got a t-shirt that's got more material on it, kind of long sleeves and sort of like a floaty tunic thing, those are the best. The more material you've got, the more you can play with, really. You can like slice off the sleeve and then reattach it with safety pins. You can do everything, get loads of safety pins, slice everything up, stick safety pins in it. You can do so much with boring black t-shirts, it's awesome. And I guess on the subject of kind of destroying things that you can do easily, I will put up a little thing of destroying pairs of tights. The tights that I used for this are just 40 denier ones that I got from Boots. You can get really cheap kind of black tights like that and just slice them up. I tend to use a little kind of curved pair of nail scissors and just slice them up, and try not to stab yourself in the leg. I do tend to be quite fast and violent when I do it, but I'm usually quite good at avoiding my own flesh. And then you have lovely ripped up tights. I would say probably going for a lower denier will make them look a bit more kind of ragged and fishnetty, and if you get some that are lower denier, you can often wear kind of 2 pairs over the top to make it look a bit more cobwebby and interesting. But 40 denier was like the lowest that Boots sold. And then the other thing you can do with tights, this is a pair of cheap fishnet tights that I turned into a top. All you need to do is cut off the toes so you can stick your hands through, make a little hole in the crotch, and a really little hole because the hole stretches enormously, and just stick your head through. So the waistband is kind of here and your head's coming through the crotch, and then you've got your sleeves, and then you can make tops out of all sorts of tights. And that's another good thing to destroy stuff and do. So the second really easy kind of DIY thing I wanted to talk about is the amazing stuff you can get from craft stores. If you've got a kind of massive like craft superstore that do everything, that's probably going to be an amazing place to go. I've never been to one. The place I go to, there's a little kind of sewing and yarn store near me, and they do all these amazing fabrics and trims, and the trims are so good you can turn them into chokers and wristbands and all sorts of stuff. This little choker here, I'll put up a closer picture, I made yesterday in the space of all of about 5 seconds just from this amazing glittery fabric, and the whole of this, including this, only cost me £1.75, and it's so sparkly and amazing. And then I just sewed a little kind of bat charm that they also sold onto it, and that makes a little sparkly choker, and you can make wristbands with this, or kind of probably tie it in your hair or do anything with it. They sold thinner stuff as well. There was like diamante stuff in all different thicknesses, but I'd never seen this one before and I love it. They also did kind of stretchy, sparkly stuff. They did this in various colours. I think they had like red and black and silver and black and blue and silver and all sorts of stuff. I got the stretchy purple one, and I got another little bat charm and sewed that onto there, so that can be another little choker. And the only thing you need to do with these things, I tend to just put a little safety pin in the end, just cut it to the size of your neck, put a safety pin in and just pin it at the back. And I tend to pin all of my chokers with safety pins because it's so much less fiddly than proper attachments. So it's really easy to make chokers, and you can kind of use that as a little wristband. You can kind of, I don't know what I've done with the rest of it, you can kind of like tie it around your upper arm like a sort of sparkly Aerosmith thing. You can do everything with these sparkly things. They also sell amazing fluffy trim, which they do in all different colours. So I just bought some red and some black and twisted it together, and I think that would look really cool. Like if I had more hair than I do, I think that would look so cool, like wrapped around hair in little bunches. You could use it as like a little fluffy wristband, you could use it as a fluffy kind of scarf, or make your own crazy feather boa with it. You could also very easily sew this around kind of the hood of a coat, so you had like a fur trimmed coat, and sew it around the sleeves and stuff. I love the fluff. I need to buy more of it and do things with it because the fluff is so freaking cute. They also do, what have I done with it? They also do lots of stretchy black lace, which I really love this stuff. They do various thicknesses and designs, and it's really stretchy and comfortable to wear as a choker. So when I record songs, I tend to wear this because I don't like tight things around my neck when I'm singing, whereas this is really comfortable. And again, you can kind of tie it in your hair, you can do all sorts of stuff with the stretchy lace. And if you have parents who disapprove of your style choices, it's going to be very easy to get all these little trimmy things and just screw them up and stuff them in your pocket and just kind of jazz yourself up when you get where you're going without anyone noticing. Not that I feel I should really be advising people on how to go against their parents' wishes, but that's the fact of the matter. You're not hurting anyone with your fucking clothes, so why shouldn't you? It's kind of my take on the whole thing. They also do lots of cool ribbon. If you go kind of near Halloween, you're going to find the most cool ribbons, but they usually have a few kind of creepy ones. I've got this guy with like skulls all over it, which again would make a kind of fun choker, or in hair you could kind of tie it onto your shoes, so you had like skulls on your shoes. You can do all sorts of stuff, and if you want kind of more creative license over making your own chokers and stuff, you can get like just plain black velvet ribbon that's kind of in a variety of thicknesses. And if they don't sell spikes and studs at the craft store, you can buy them very cheaply on eBay, and you can get, I think you can get spikes that either just push through or that are like double-sided, and you just make a little hole in the fabric and kind of close them on. So you could put spikes around it, maybe leave a gap at the front and put like a little spooky button or something at the front, or a brooch. You can also get fabric paint that you just draw on like that, and it comes out kind of puffy. You can get that like glows in the dark and glows under UV, so you could write anything you wanted across a black velvet choker. So you can do so many things with chokers. Oh my god, the other thing I forgot to say about craft stores, they often sell loads of amazing buttons. I'll put up a little picture. I bought loads of really cute Halloween buttons. I think my store is quite good because the girl that works there is quite alternative, so she does keep the Halloween stuff around. But if you go to one of these stores and it's not Halloween, most of these places will have Halloween stock that's left over, I would have thought. So if you ask them nicely, they will probably be able to find you some creepy Halloween buttons. And they also do amazing Halloween fabrics, which you can probably find online as well. As soon as I finish doing this, I'm going to go Google for Halloween fabrics, because I found some really cool stuff. I'll put up a little thing. I found some that was like had skulls and bats and toads and creepy things all over it. I found some that was like yellowing parchment with creepy words on, and some sort of black and purple stuff, and some amazing black sparkly netting, and I'll tell you what I did with that in a minute. But when I bought all of this fabric for kind of other projects, I had some left over, so last night I started making myself a little purse. It's not finished because I need a zip still, but I made a little creepy purse with like a creepy fabric, and I sewed on some incredibly cute little pumpkin buttons. The back of it looks like that, and then on the lining I used the kind of creepy parchment stuff, and I really love this. I've got so much fabric left over, I'm going to make loads of these things. So yeah, the fabric's amazing. So the kind of big project I made with the fabric, I managed to make a little skirt, little kind of witchy tutu thing, and I was so proud of myself because I haven't made anything in years, and it was a total experiment. I didn't expect it to work. So I'm afraid I didn't film every step of the process because I didn't think it would work, but it's literally like, I don't know, a 4-step process. It's very, very, very easy. So all I did for this, I think the materials cost me about £23, but as I say, I had so much left over, I probably could have done it for about £14 if I'd known the quantities I needed. But how I did it, I basically started with the amazing sparkly black netting, which is so sparkly in reality, it's amazing. Because netting is quite stiff, so it will give you the kind of sticky outiness of the tutu. So I took the netting, I think I bought about 2 square meters of it, and I folded it over so I had 4 layers, and then I took a wide black velvet ribbon for the waistband, and I measured with the ribbon around my waist, but I didn't cut the excess off. I just marked it with a safety pin so I knew the width, because I was worried I was going to cock it up, so I didn't want to chop anything off and make it permanent. So once I'd got the size of my waist, I took the folded black netting and just pinned it onto the waistband in little ruches. So I probably made a kind of ruche of about that wide, about every 3 inches or something, because ruching will give you more body and more volume. So I just safety pinned every ruche on, and then I sewed it to the waistband very sloppily. Whenever I sew things, I just use a very quick, very sloppy back stitch. And the only tip I would say is that when you're making clothes and you're sewing clothes, you want to tie off your thread about every sort of so far, because if you're wearing it and the thread snaps at any point, the whole thing won't unravel then. You'll only lose that much thread and you'll only have to redo that much rather than all of it. So that's quite a good thing to do. So yeah, once I'd sewed on the netting, I basically had a little sparkly tutu that I could just safety pin around my waist, and it was translucent and sparkly and amazing. So if you just want a sparkly translucent tutu, that's all you really need to do. And then I think I hacked up the bottom of the netting a bit just to make it a bit more jagged and less uniform. And then with the Halloween fabrics, because I was so determined to use all of them, I used all the Halloween fabrics, or like bits of all of them, and I just cut out, as you can probably see on the skirt if I put up another thing, I just cut out kind of jagged triangular leaves of material and laid them in a row along the waistband, and then laid a second row over the top, and again pinned it into place and then sewed it on very messily, at which point it was basically done. And the only other thing I did was to take a second piece of velvet ribbon and lay it over the waistband, and guitar, laid it over the waistband and sewed it into place just to cover up all my messy stitching. And that's it, it's done. And I was intending to be really clever and like put a zip in, but in the end I didn't bother, because I don't really care. I'm quite sloppy about these things. I was quite happy just having a safety pin to do it up with, so a safety pin in the waistband and then a safety pin in the netting just to close it all up, and it looks fine like that, and it's adjustable then, so you can wear it up around your waist or down on the hips. So I think safety pins are a good thing, and that's it. And then you've got a little witchy tutu, so I was really pleased with that, and I'm really hoping we get more Halloween fabrics this year, because I want to make another one. It was so easy and so fun. And then I added a few of my little Halloween buttons. I sewed a few on just because I was so excited by them. The only thing I would say about the tutu I made is that it is very revealing. I would always wear it with black tights underneath, because you can see the whole outline. You can basically just see my whole ass through the netting and everything. So I would say if you're younger or you don't want everyone to see your whole ass, the best thing to do might be to take a piece of stretchy material like t-shirt material or crushed velvet, and just make a quick little wraparound underskirt for it so that it's not so translucent, or obviously just make the whole thing longer, make the opaque fabric leaves longer so it doesn't show off your whole ass, for anyone who actually cares about protecting their modesty. So I think the final little kind of DIY project I wanted to give you is a dress that I made years and years ago, and I've still got because I really love it. I'll put up a little thing. It's this kind of like full length black velvet kind of opera dress thing. The straps you can see are my bra straps. It's actually strapless just to make everything easier. But I really love it. It's kind of really effective looking, but so easy to make, because I just bought a load of crushed velvet on eBay. I think I probably spent about £12 and got loads and loads of velvet. And crushed velvet is amazing because it doesn't fray particularly, so I didn't bother seaming the top or the bottom of that dress. I just left them. And also crushed velvet is very stretchy, so you don't have to worry about putting zips in or anything. You can just make it a tube dress and just pull it on, because it's so stretchy. It's awesome. So all I did for that dress was I took the velvet and wrapped it around myself like a towel, and then with lots of little safety pins I just pinned it into place kind of at the right size, and making it quite tailored as well, so it comes in at the waist and out at the hips. And then the full length skirt I made kind of tapered outwards, and I just pinned it all the way down and then turned it inside out, obviously so that the seaming is on the inside and you don't see it. Sewed it all the way down with my messy back stitch, chopped off all the excess, turned it the right way round, and pulled it on, and that's basically your dress. And the only other thing I did was to take the kind of cleavage part and just ruche it up a bit and put a few stitches in, so you've got that kind of ruched effect, which just makes your boobs look bigger, which is always a good thing. And it's great, like being a strapless dress, it's like a strapless dress that isn't going to fall down because you fitted it exactly to yourself. It's not going to fall off, which is awesome. And then the sleeves I made in exactly the same way, just by wrapping it around my arm, and I think I got a friend to kind of pin the things with a slightly flared bottom sleeve, and then I sewed them up, and then you've got little sleeves to go with it. And if you wanted to sew the sleeves onto the dress, you could just put a few stitches under the armpit, and then you'd have a kind of like off the shoulder thing. And actually then you could bring in your fluffy trim. You could sew around the strapless thing with your fluffy trim. You could use your fluffy trim. So yeah, it's really easy to make dresses. I do feel a bit mean that I'm kind of leaving the guys out a little bit here with skirts and dresses, but I'm afraid your clothes are more difficult. I wouldn't know where to start with fucking trousers, because they've got legs on them and stuff. Is really difficult. Skirts and dresses are so much easier. So yeah, I guess that's everything I had to say, really. But yeah, if you go to a craft store and you buy all of the, you know, the fabrics and the sparkles, and you get all overexcited, but you are not particularly confident in your sewing skills, I would say a good thing to start with is to make little purses or little bags, because they're really quick and really easy, and if you cock it up it doesn't really matter, and you haven't wasted as much fabric as if you dive straight into a skirt or something. So practice with little purses first. But yeah, I hope this gives you some ideas, and I hope you go to your craft store and buy lots of exciting shiny things. I get so overexcited in that shop, it's ridiculous. And I think the one more thing I wanted to say that's kind of goth on a budget related but not DIY at all is shoes. Obviously goth boots, you need your goth boots, but they can be really, really expensive. And I would say if you really want to get a pair of New Rocks, something big and impressive like New Rocks or Demonia or something, you're not going to find those cheap brand new. Like if you see them cheap brand new anywhere, I would be very, very, very suspicious of the quality. So I would say for those, eBay secondhand can be good because New Rocks pretty much last forever. You might need to get them resold, but that's very cheap. The only thing I would watch out for if you're buying secondhand New Rocks, if they mention anything about it having a dodgy zip, stay away, because getting a zip replaced is very difficult and very expensive, so dodgy zips avoid. But everything else, New Rocks are pretty much immortal. You can buy them secondhand, they'll last you forever. Obviously you just have to keep stalking eBay every day for months until you find them in your size. But if you want some kind of less impressive little sort of gothy boots, Amazon is really, really good for boots. eBay new boots have been terrible when I've bought them, but Amazon boots have been amazing. I got these little kind of Doc Martin rip-offs with like studded backs on. I think these were about £22 on Amazon. And I love them, they're amazing. I wear these all the time, these are like my driving boots. I also got these kind of slightly sexier little pointy boots which go with everything, and I got these for about £17, I think. 17, not 70. And they're really cute and they're really, really, really comfortable. So Amazon, I am so sold on Amazon for little kind of vaguely gothy boots. They're amazing. And I think that's everything I had to say. So I hope this is vaguely helpful, and if you make anything and it goes well, definitely like tag me on Instagram or something because I would like to see it. So yeah, I hope you go and get things and make things because it's really fun. I fucking love this fluff, man. I'm like obsessed with this fluff. I've got to find something to sew it onto. I think I'm gonna sew it onto one of my hoodies or something and have like a furry hoodie like this. So yeah, I'm so obsessed with my fluff. I'm so obsessed with it. I'm gonna shut up now because I'm just getting hyperactive here. Bye bye.